Bonjour, hi, welcome back to another video. Today I'm filming something a little different than what I'm usually doing on here, but it's a video I've been wanting to film for a little while now, and it's, again, as I said, a little different, but I'm really hoping that you are going to find this maybe helpful, inspiring, insightful. We're talking about the 5 books that have transformed my life for the better. These 5 books here have truly helped me to shift my perspective on a lot of things. They have helped me to better understand myself. They have helped me to better understand life, love, friendships, relationships, just creativity, name it. They've honestly just made me into a better human being that understands her world a little bit better. I feel like I understand the world that I live in a little bit better. I understand myself a little bit better, and I understand whatever's happening here a little bit better. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. The first book I'm presenting to you is The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. I don't know if I'm saying her name correctly. Brianna Wiest? Just correct me if I'm wrong, because either way, one of the way is wrong. And this is actually the first nonfiction book I've read ever. And it's been through a lot. I've read it. It was 2 years ago, actually. And fun fact, when I first picked it up, I started reading it. Actually, that was almost 3 years ago. I started reading it, and I was just not liking it. I was not getting into it, so I put it down, left it there for like a couple of months, and I only picked it back up in January of 2023. Anyway, I picked it up in January of 2022 or 2023. And as you can see, that time I actually enjoyed it because I marked it with quotes, with things that have made me think of things. And this book has been through a lot, as you can see. I've lended it to a friend. Now I'm lending it to my sister. It's 300 something pages, and I've gone through it pretty quickly, I would say. And this is all about like self-sabotage and how to overcome it and how to better understand what's happening in your brain when you're self-sabotaging you. And this is all about transforming yourself for the better, recognizing where and how you self-sabotage. And it's been great. It's been a great book to reflect back on. It made me think about a lot of biases I have, and it made me think of a lot of situations where I have self-sabotaged. And yeah, it's been a great book. This is what it all started with. This is where I got it. Next book on the list, you've probably seen it all over social media, but it's for a reason. It's Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is a memoir, and it is so well written that it almost felt like I was reading a story. Like, it almost felt like I was reading fiction, but it is non-fiction because it's a memoir, and it's, again, everything about love. And the ending, the way that it all like resolves itself is so beautiful, and it made me realize the importance of friendship, the importance of self-love, recognizing again what are your love languages, how love works in your 20s and your 30s. And I related so much to this book that it kind of felt like I was reading a story about my life in a way, to a certain extent, obviously. But a lot of the things that the main character, aka, I'm talking about it as if it was fiction, but the writer, Dolly Alderton, she's been through situations that are pretty similar to situations I've been through myself. And so reading this hit like a little too close to home. It made me feel very emotional because I recognize myself in so many of the ways of thinking of the writer. Does that make sense? And I think it's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much, is because it healed a part of myself. It healed a lot of things because I feel like I was growing alongside with the writer. And the story, well, not the story, but the events occurring in this book take place from ages 12 to like 30 something. And so in a way, it kind of felt like I was reading a story about me, but also about like future me. in a way. And so, as I said, it healed a lot of things in me, but it also shook a lot of things in me. But it is why I enjoyed it so much and why I feel like it transformed me so much, because it resonated with me on many levels. And I've mentioned this in many other videos, but I am a hopeless romantic, and I believe that Dolly Alderton is as well. And so seeing the way that she approached relationships and seeing the way that she was dealing with certain situations, with certain people, with certain types of relationships, just made me feel understood and seen. And it was very comforting, but also very confronting at the same time. But I enjoyed it very much. I think I gave this one like 4 stars out of 5. So that's a pretty good score for me. Book number 3 is written again by Brianna Weiss. Brianna. Let's just call her Brianna, okay? And it's called The Pivot Year. I think my sister gave this to me for my birthday last August, so last summer. And I actually read it in January of this year, so January 2024. And I read it in I think a couple of weeks, which again is pretty extraordinary for me because I'm a really slow reader. Once again, for this one, there are many bookmarks because a lot of things resonated with me, and it's essentially 365 things to read about. So it's the pivot year, 365 days to become the person you truly want to be. That's the full title. So as you can see, it's day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up until 365. I could have read it 1 page per day. I could have just read day 1 and then for the whole year read 1 page a day, but that's not how I like to go. I really wanted to focus all my brain power and energy into one book. I'm not able to read multiple books at a time because my brain gets confused. I know it doesn't make sense, but for me, I really have to be committing to one book at a time. And so that's how I read this one. And again, I loved it. I really loved it. I feel like a lot of the things that are in there were similar to some of the things that were in The Mountain Is You, because they kind of revolve around the same ideas. The Mountain Is You is more focused on self-sabotage, and this one is more about becoming a better version of who you are, and not necessarily recognizing, well, no, that's a lie. It's pretty similar in that sense, but this is really more inspirational and motivational, and The Mountain Is You is more about understanding yourself, if that makes sense. So for example, if we take a look at one of the pages I've highlighted, let's take page, or should I say day 165. It goes as the following. There's pretty much just one guiding principle, one thing you need to know to get through the rest of your life. Whatever you feel the most strongly about is the next thing that needs to happen. Don't worry about how it will all add up or to where exactly it will lead. Consistency is the tonic that transforms your life into a dream of your own design. So that kind of sums up the whole thing, the whole shtick of the book, So this one is obviously about trusting yourself and knowing your worth and moving forward. Next up on the list, book number 4 is actually the one that I enjoy the most. And I was a little, I was a little afraid before reading the book because I was scared that I was being overhyped and overrated. And you guessed it, it is 101 essays that will change the way you think. I have seen this book all over the internet. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest. I was seeing it everywhere. And I was like, there's no way it is that good. It has to be overhyped. Just it's cute. That's what it is. But no, look at that. Look at that. This is not just cute. This is the one that has honestly changed the way that I think and changed the way that I see life. It's in the title for a reason. I cannot make this up. This has changed the way that I think. I mean, it speaks for itself, honestly. Again, for this one, because it is the same author, there were some elements that were pretty repetitive or that reminded me of The Mountain Is You and The Pivot Year. But it didn't bother me that much because like this one was maybe a little bit more on the surface. Not that it was not deep, but it's like there was so many topics being covered. And then in The Pivot Year and in The Mountain Is You, it was more like a little bit more focused. Like the theme and the subject was more like pinpoint, but this one was just like a lot of essays because, you know, it's in the title. But I kid you not, this one, it is probably something that I will reread again. I don't know, it changed something in me. Like there's me before I read it, and then there's me now after I've read it. You know, if I remember correctly, I don't think I gave this one a 5-star, but it was pretty close. I think it was like a 4.5. You should read it. That's all I have to say. You really should read it. It is a great book. And I think it would be a great introduction to nonfiction. If you've never read nonfiction before, this is a great way to just like ease into it. Or maybe Everything I Know About Love, because it is written almost as a fiction. Maybe that would be a good book to ease into it. But this one also is just, it's so easy to read, and it's nothing too intense and deep, but yet it still makes you think and reflect, because as you can see, I had a lot of things to think about and to reflect on. But that is why I enjoyed it so much. Sometimes I remember I had to like pause. I had to, you know, just like sit through it. Like I would have to stop reading and think about what I just read and think about how it applies to me or how it resonates with me, because there was just so many things to think about. So yeah, I loved it. Almost 5 out of 5. It's a great read, and I devoured this one again. Yeah, that sums it up. And then last but not least on the list, book number 5 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. This one I read it a couple of months ago, or maybe a couple of weeks ago. I think I started reading it in February of 2024. I really enjoyed it. The only thing I will say about this is while reading, I was noticing a lot, but when I say a lot of misspelling, of grammatical errors, of conjugation errors. And mind you, English is not my first language, and yet I still noticed it. It was enough for me to be bothered by it. Like it just, I don't know. You know, if there's like 1 or 2 little misspelling throughout the whole book, like it's no big deal. You know, it happens to the best of us. But I feel like this one has not been edited properly, and it bugged me because I was so into the whole habit thing, and what is explained in this is very, very interesting. And I've actually been trying to apply it to my lifestyle and following these guidelines, and it has really helped me, because it has helped me to build habits and to see habits in a different way. And I now have a different approach to habits because of this book, but I was kind of like bummed out by all the errors that I was able to notice. Maybe it's a problem with this edition, but you know, and it's funny because I haven't seen anyone mention this in the past. But yeah, anyway, that's not the point. The point is, it still has changed my life, and it transformed me for the better. And I really did enjoy it. So if you're into building habits and creating habits that are sustainable in the long run, I really recommend this book. And even if you're not really into like creating healthy habits and finding a balance in your life, I still feel like this could be helpful. As human beings, we are creatures of habits. We all have habits. Some of them are bad, some of them are good, some of them are good for us, some of them are not so good for us. Yet we still thrive with habits. And this book explains it all, and it talks about the science behind habits and how the brain works in order for you to create habits and how they get created and everything. So I think just for like the psychology part of it and the science part of it, it is pretty interesting. Like I learned a lot of things about the human brain in this. And I don't know, it might not seem like it, but I've always been super fascinated with the human body, with the human brain, with many things in terms of life. but especially human being, human biology, and the brain and psychology. So this was just a win for me, and I enjoyed it very much. And if I remember correctly, I think I gave this one like a 4 out of 5. I don't know. I can't remember. I should pull up Goodreads right now, but hey, I don't have it. By the way, if you want to follow me on Goodreads, I'll have the link below so we can, see what kind of books we're into. We can exchange book recommendations, and we can just be friends on Goodreads. That would be great. So those, my friends, are the 5 books that have transformed my life for the better. Yes, it might sound like a big statement, but they truly did. They truly helped me become the person that I am today, and I'm so grateful for them, and I would recommend you read them if you're into nonfiction, obviously. I could do a series all about fiction as well, like fictional book that have changed my brain chemistry, but this is all about like becoming the best version of yourself and realizing things and reflection, and this is what nonfiction is all about. Usually it's to make you think, to make you gain more knowledge and wisdom. So yeah, if you do have book recommendations for me, please let me know in the comments below. My goal for 2024 is to read 15 books. I'm on the right track. It's probably happening, but hey, if you have recommendations, whether they're fiction or nonfiction, I would be happy. I would be happy to know. So on that note, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. I truly, truly, truly mean it. Hopefully I have made a little difference in your day today. If you would like to make a difference in mine, you know what to do. And I'm going to wish you bonne journée.